welcome to Rebel High Command Cast, an Imperial Assault podcast for 2023 and beyond. This podcast is hosted by the IACommand YouTube channel and sponsored by listeners like you through Patreon. If you want to support IA content in 2023, head over to patreon.com/IACommand and become a patron today. This is episode 22. I'm your host, TV Boy, aka Noah, and I'm joined by my co-host, Second Flock, aka Wesley. Wesley, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing, Noah?
I'm doing pretty good. Another nice Saturday morning to record some content. Actually, we've got a special topic for today. The Season 8 version 8.1 update is about to drop. We're actually going to drop it tomorrow. Um,
So by the time you read this, it should be up.
yep,
Or
exactly.
listen.
And we'll be having a tournament on the 29th, so definitely go check that out. Hopefully, I can get a VOD up of the tournament there. That's going to be happening on Memorial
hmm
Day. It's actually kind of special. We're dropping the update a day early so that folks can actually play on the holiday, the Memorial Day holiday. We're going to have a tournament. Thought that would be fun.
Yeah, I think you guys just finished finalizing this, correct?
We finalized it on Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Just a
actually,
day
no,
or two ago.
Thursday. We actually,
Yeah, you sent these to me like one day ahead of time.
yeah, we set a deadline for ourselves, the 25th, so that we could get it out early, and we actually made our deadline for once. So go us. Um, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the 8.1 updates. We're gonna be skipping some of our normal segments just so we can have some more time to talk about this and not go overly long. But we'll still be doing talking about games we played and community updates and all of that. Also, I did want to mention that it was brought to my attention that there was an echo in some previous episodes. I realized it was being caused by my audio, my recording, picking up Wesley's voice in my headset. Basically, my microphone was picking up the sound coming from the headphones. I think we fixed it. I
Mhm.
just did a test with him. I've got a separate little earbud now in my right ear, and my head microphone is situated on the left side of my face. And it did not pick up any of Wesley's audio when we did a test recording, so hopefully that echo will not be there anymore, and I don't have to keep editing it out badly.
Man,
Apparently,
the things you do for content.
I know. As little editing as I can do is always the best.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So let's talk about some games that we've been playing. Um,
Okay.
what you been up to?
Yeah, well, I can help contribute to us getting into the 8.1 changes because I haven't played any recently. I was actually supposed to, not IACP, but I was supposed to do a campaign game or two this afternoon with a friend who I got him to play once, and he's been very excited to do it again. We had a plan, however, he was also moving this week and messaged me yesterday like, hey, I didn't realize I don't have internet because I moved 2 days ago, and I don't think I'm going to be able to play today. So that'll
Mm,
happen at some point. Yeah, as far as IACP, I'm hoping we'll see if I can join that May 29th tournament. It'll probably be a last minute choice if I do, and if not, probably gonna wait till after the weekend to try and get some games in because now we're in 8.1 and I know it's changing.
yes. I had my league game against Destructor, and that was the Cal Kestis and Ahsoka versus his Palpatine Grand Inquisitor and Second Sister. That actually I turned into a short and put up on the channel, so you guys can check out kind of the highlights from that match. But basically, Force Low was super clutch that game. Allowed me to trap the Inquisitor in a spot where he couldn't activate before I activated two of my Jedi. And got to kill him before he activated that way. And then the next round, I had Destructor had initiative, and it was about to like just completely obliterate Cal with Palpatine, Force Lightning plus Emperor attack plus Palpatine lightsaber attack. but Force Slow allowed Cal to go to stop Palpatine from activating first, and allowed him to actually kill Palpatine with a pummel. So
Yeah, I feel like those shorts have been really a really nice way to engage with some IA content for viewers that don't want to sit through the long form content or just get a new audience. I think those highlights have been very very useful, very nice to watch and see.
yeah, definitely check those out if you haven't already on YouTube. If you go to the shorts section, or if you go to my channel and click on the shorts tab, I uploaded three new ones this week. It's something I'm experimenting with to see. And two of them have gotten like okay views, but the one with the orbital bombardment, that one has gotten quite a lot more views than my normal videos. So that's kind of funny. People really want to see orbital bombardment do something.
Yeah, although it could always be part of the algorithm that causes that bump because I know when I did shorts based on the reveals you gave me for season 8, some of them got 50 views and then one or two of them had like 300 views and they were all posted in the same day and it was like, oh well, maybe it's because this was the first one or the last one, something the algorithm decided, let's pick this up.
Yeah, it's been a learning curve for me with shorts because I've done them before, and they're kind of niggly to deal with. They like you can't set a custom thumbnail for them. They just automatically pick one from like a
Mm-hmm.
screenshot of the video, which was really annoying because when I made like a Davith short about how to play Davith, it like used a thumbnail of Mern instead because she was part of the video, and that was really annoying. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have a picture of the card in the video the entire minute that's being featured. So like I have Cal's card in the video the whole time, so that no matter what screenshot it uses, it's got Cal there in the thumbnail. I forgot to do that for the orbital bombardment, so it doesn't actually show orbital bombardment in the thumbnail of that short. But yet, still, it's still the most It's still like twice as popular as the other two. So anyway, that's some
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff. Nobody cares about analytics and all that stuff. So let's get into it. We've got season 8, version 8.1. We've got 17 cards that have been changed, 14 of which are from season 8. 3 are actually from other seasons. So the reason that we did that, and I'll get into it a little bit, but we've had a couple of cards that we realized the templating was off and wanted to correct them, and so we thought, let's just get them out as soon as possible, and so it made sense to drop them with this update since we were already going to be updating Vassal, Tabletop Admiral, all our PDFs, so might as well just get it over with, and then let people know that they're being changed, but they're not functional changes. They're just the templating could have been better, so we're fixing that. And then one of them
Right.
is a change that is an old card that is being changed because of season 8, and we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
actually have the article, the announcement article finished. I just finished it yesterday, and
Mm.
I'm gonna go by that and go in that order. It'll be up on my screen, but you can't see it, Wesley. So just
Okay.
follow along with that Google Drive folder I sent you, and we should be good.
Will do. And I think it'd be fun to play a game of what's changed because I've looked at these changes, but I have not referenced any of the original cards since yesterday. So there's a couple where I'm like, what actually changed here? I gotta try and pinpoint it.
All right, yeah, let's do it. So getting into it, we've got our first one. Again, this is a templating. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to start off with some of them are just templating updates. They're not really functional changes. They're just the cards are worded better. So starting off with just business. This was the 1 point scum leader command card that gives figures professional. Can you tell what has changed with
Mm-hmm.
this card?
Yeah, so you changed it so that it now says that you are only giving professional to figures that don't have it. I think in the original it didn't specify that, and you guys were kind of playing with like, oh, we think that we want it to be something that can't stack. You either have professional or you don't. And I think this is just to make it more clear to people that you only get it if you don't already have it.
Yeah, that was a kind of a weird one trying to figure out how keywords stack, and we
Hmm.
realized that instead of having to answer that question, we can just change the question. Which so now it's no, you can't have professional twice. Just
Well,
full
actually,
stop.
the change in here prompted a question from me then. So I think the operative word in this new version is the word printed
Hmm.
professional ability. And my question would be, well, what if you happen to be able to play two copies of Just Business in one round?
I don't think that's possible because you can't do that with Afra.
What if your opponent also has Just Business in their discard?
I don't think you can do that anyway. I'll have to check and see if that's possible because I don't think you can play the same. You can't play a command card with the same name in the same timing window. So the same way you can't play two reinforcements, you wouldn't be able
Hmm.
to play two just businesses cards because they have the same name.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
I still
there's
think that if this just said, friendly scum figures without the professional ability, gain professional, would be a little more clear.
a
That printed word is like,
the problem with that is that it creates a paradox, right? Because then once you gain
hmm,
professional, you now have professional, so you shouldn't be gaining it. So then you stop gaining professional, but then you have professional. Then you don't have professional, so you gain professional again. It turns into a loop where the card keeps negating itself. So that's why you have to have that printed word there.
hmm. Okay, I can see that.
Because that would be the question that we would get. It was like, well, if my figure has professional, does it not gain it anymore?
Yeah, I guess the it'll really come down to how many people are still asking questions about how this stacks to see if the community, is still confused by this or not
Yeah, your
in
question
the
was
end.
interesting, but I remember that I was like, that shouldn't be possible because you shouldn't be able to play the same command card. We did that with Afra. You
Hmm.
can't. We figured it out. You can't play the fuel upgrade twice, no matter what. And so you shouldn't be able to do that with just business. You can only play one copy. All right, next one. Churret. All right, do you know what we changed to Churret?
Sure, let me pull him back up. So I think you guys just switched the names of his abilities.
Yes, that's what we did.
So yeah, which I'm a very big fan of here.
Yeah, this one was. I mean, Churret kept changing in development, so his abilities kept switching around. And then somebody pointed out that the one ability clearly leads into the other ability, and it's kind of weird that they're out of order. The
Mm-hmm.
move two spaces to be adjacent to a hostile figure clearly leads into the when a attack targeting you and you're adjacent to a hostile figure. So we switched them. So now the movement is first, called I'm one with the force, and the defense ability is second, called the force is with me. So
Yeah, this
now
is a
it's
very aesthetically pleasing update, and I'm
good.
glad you guys did it.
All right, next one is an old card K2SO from season 5. Another templating update. I don't know if you want to take a crack at that one too.
Well, I actually had to. This is one of the ones that I could not tell what was different. I made a guess, but now you're saying it's a templating update. So, I kind of thought maybe you had turned continually unexpected from an ability to a special action.
Nope.
Like, you could just shoot ranged attacks if you had two tokens before, but if it's a templating ability, you're not changing how it works, so I'm not really sure what changed here.
Yeah, this one, I figured this one will stump you, especially since this one's actually two changes. So
Hmm.
we updated vague and unconvincing from it used to say while defending, your player and your opponent cannot spend power tokens or play command cards. We changed it to while you are defending to clarify that this ability is only active while K2SO is defending, not while both players are defending. That's what was confusing. Was it says while defending your player, and so it sounds like whenever K2SO's controller is defending, or whenever
Mm-hmm.
the opponent is defending, then they cannot spend power tokens. So That one is more clear, and I also realized that casting set I had to had an error. It said gain up to one power token. Well, that means that the ability is not optional, and you might be in a situation where it triggers and he already has two power tokens, and then you have to use the ability that's once per round, even if you don't want to. So that got changed to a may ability. It just says you may gain one damage power token.
Gotcha. Nice. The only other thing I noticed on the new one is it looks like in continuously unexpected, you guys squeezed the number 2 and the symbol of the damage token very close together.
That's actually, you're close. I actually did space out the surge power token a little bit more evenly. But the damage token and the 2 were always kind of next to each other like that.
I mean, I'm looking on a tabletop Admiral, and they look like there's a little more space there.
Oh, well, that might be an old version of the card.
Either way, it's here nor there. I did kind of get the sense that there was like a few more words on this card somehow, but like I said, I couldn't put my finger on what was changed.
Yeah, it's while you are defending instead of while defending.
Yep.
So 2 more words on the top. Alright,
Yep.
next one is Rapid Recalibration. This is from Season 5. Do you know what we changed on this one?
Pull this back up. Alright, use while attacking after attack die are rolled or re-rolled.
Oh my god, there's a typo.
That timing is definitely different. After attack die are rolled or re-rolled. I think it used to just be after re-rolls are performed.
It used to say before the opponent re-rolls their dice. Which is very confusing for some people, because they thought that you could only use it if the opponent uses a re-roll effect. So that was feedback that I had been getting from some people. So this was much clearer, just saying, because what we wanted it to do was we wanted it to happen after you performed your rerolls as the attacker, but before the opponent performed their rerolls as the defender.
Right.
This makes it a little slightly more flexible. Technically, this means you can play this before you reroll one of your other dice, but that's okay, because why would you do that, right? You would just want to do all your rerolls first before you use this, just so you have perfect information.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm glad I caught this typo, because I'm going to go fix this before the article goes up.
Which typo?
It might still be in Vassal, but that's okay. Alright, so now let's get into the true updates for 8.1. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Orbital Bombardment.
Yeah, I see the change here. We did the thing where we cut the cost in half and got rid of the strain.
Yep, that's what we did. What do you think?
Before when you mentioned this is an idea during the card's development, I was all for it. After your short, where it shows this card actually doing something, I'm like, well, this might actually be too good at 2, because even without the strain, 2 damage to like 4 to 6 figures or 3 or 6 figures is still a lot. And I think though, even in your short, it was like not a lot of strain damage being spread around. It was mostly just the straight damage from the card.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of felt the same after that. After I made that, I was like, oh wait, this made me too good now. But that was the only game I've seen Bombardment do anything. And the other thing about that game was it almost did nothing, because Thrawn came very close to dying before he could deploy the bombardment tokens. He was basically on 1 health and got very lucky. So that's what I've seen in all the other games I've had Orbital Bombardment in, is that the carrier dies. It's just not difficult to get in there and kill the carrier before they can deploy the bombardment tokens. So that makes it super punishing, right? To lose 4 VPs because it's an attachment, lose your figure as well, and then not get anything from the card effect. So there's a high chance of whatever points you pour into this attachment, you get nothing for it.
Right.
It's just super risky. So I think the risk factor on top of the how circumstantial the card is, right? Because if it's like round 4 and the only figures on the table are hostile figures that are full health, like doing 2 damage to a bunch of them, it might not matter.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you have to set it up, which means you have to leave figures on the table. I really actually like Orbital Bombardment right now as a Zillow counter,
Mm.
specifically for Zillow Trooper spam.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yeah.
noticed it's starting to really pick up in popularity, right? I think you've probably seen it.
Yeah. I mean, I tried it once. Almost got it out.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of Imperial Trooper lists kind of running around the meta and doing well.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're powered by the power of Zillow technique, being able to keep them alive and force the opponent to waste extra attacks to finish them off. And I'm kind of hopeful that Orbital is like a counterpick to that.
Hmm.
Now, the other thing is we get to test it, right? And so we'll see if it's too strong. If it does end up doing what we saw in that short more often than not and getting like 2 or 3 kills at the end of a game, um, then maybe we have to look at either. I don't know about adjusting the points back up. I still feel like 2 is like the max we should ever make a skirmish upgrade cost.
Yeah, I wanted to comment. Like, the one time I ran this, I think I ran Rebel High Command instead of R2D2,
Yeah.
and I think I had to drop a second focuser. And someone commented, like, ooh, bold move making a Rebel list without R2 and 2 focusers. And I was like, well, yeah, I gotta, I'm living on a McDonald's wage budget here. I gotta make some cuts
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned
to
in the
fit
article
this in.
is 4 points is a premium figure cost that you're giving
Yeah.
up to put it in your deck. So 2 points is already a concession. You're giving up some good value with 2 points. It's 2 points that's scoreable, So
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. All right,
Yeah.
next one.
I
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just I was gonna say, not entirely sure how I feel about it, but I did always want this card to wind up at 2 points instead of like 3 or 4. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, there's knobs we can turn still. Like we could have it do less damage, and we could make the special action not perform an attack. Although I don't know how much that would actually change. Um,
That might make it actually stronger with like
oh, single
what's the word,
purpose.
single purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah, because already if I'm running orbital, I'm wanting to run change of plans and possibly new orders.
yeah. So that is orbital bombardment. Okay, next one I have
Yep.
because we're in neutral faction right now is supercharge. So this is the 1 point technician command card.
Yes. So yeah, my take on the changes here. I think you guys clarified. You tried to clarify further when the yellow dice get added,
Yep.
like as at like the super very last effect before anything else. This is when you add up to dice until you have 4.
Yes.
You also changed the cost for the strain,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm a fan of. I think it used to be surges rolled, and
Yep.
now it's just dice added is the number of strain you take.
Yeah. Yep. So something I noticed was that people were playing supercharge only if they had 2 attack dice technicians,
Mm-hmm.
because then you are getting max value. I mean, max value is R2D2, right? Getting 3 yellow dice, but you
Yeah.
really want to be getting 2 yellow dice from this um, to justify the strain you're taking, which often ended up being 3 strain, no matter whether you added 1 dice or 2 dice.
Yeah.
And that made it so that it was very unappealing for figures like Chewbacca, Cal Kestis, E-Webs, those kind of figures. So
Yeah.
this
They had
change
one
fixes
dice
that.
and take 3 strain. Like, definitely not worth a 1 point card.
Yeah, adding 1 yellow dice and taking 3 strain, like you said. So now it's add 1 yellow dice, take 1 strain. And that feels fair because it's a 1 point card, right? You're adding an attack die
Yep.
for 1 point. So a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
strain is justified. If you're adding 2 dice for 1 point, you take 2 strain. That still feels fair. And take 3 strain for 3 dice. That's pretty much what you were already doing with like R2D2.
And in that case, he already heals.
Yeah,
But really, if you're going out with R2D2 like that, you're probably late game and down to your last few chips, so that's your big swing.
yeah. I don't think I've seen anybody do the R2 supercharge yet. Oh, I gotta go check the
Hmm.
logs. That would be a fun one to show.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, getting into Rebels. So our first one for Rebels is going to be Mr. Malbus, Baze
Mr.
himself.
Malbus. So I think the main change here is you changed his Into the Fray to grant surge tokens instead of power tokens.
Yep, that's the only change to Baze Malbus is
Mm-hmm.
surge tokens instead of damage power tokens.
Yeah, I saw someone comment somewhere that he had trouble getting surges out, but also that he was doing a little too much damage. So it was like the ranged cleave he had was more of a novelty most of the time than it was like part of his kit.
Was
Just
that
like, oh yeah, a little extra.
was that me that said that?
That might have been you.
Okay,
Just something I saw in the Slack.
because that's what I've been saying. Is that's what I'm seeing in the game logs. Is for some reason he just can't get surges to stick.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Either because he's weakened from scout troopers or C3PO's in the way or black dice just randomly rolling evades against him and he can't get the surges to stick.
Both times I played him with Kotun on the team. And so for me, I'm just like, oh, well, I'll just have Kotun give out power tokens, and if I want him to do, damage power tokens, I'll do that. And if you run him with Rebel Salvadors, here's some extra surge tokens for them.
Yeah.
So I'm not here nor there too much with the change. I guess reining in his damage a little bit, but adding to his spread damage would be, you know, I guess that's a good way to kind of balance. I've seen people say he's a little too strong, just a little bit.
Yeah, and he was so popular. He's the most played Season 8 card for
Yeah.
play testing data so far. I think I'm a week behind. I haven't gotten week 4 in yet, but he was in 2/3 of all Rebel lists. And he had a 75% win rate. So he has been kind of warping the early playtest meta around himself.
Yeah, he's Rebel Onar. That's what I've seen people say.
I mean, he's better because he's got assault. Onar can't attack twice.
No, but Onar does have, other things to make up for it.
Yeah, I
They're
guess
both
you get
kinda-
a second attack's worth of damage out of Hunter cards with Onar.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's got his rush, and he's got a get down.
so, yeah, so this was the only change to Baze. It's actually a pretty minor change in my eyes, and it's also kind of a lateral change because you're doing less damage to the target, so you're not deleting things quite as quickly, but you're doing a lot more spread damage with this change. So you're racking up incidental damage that's going to make it easier to get kills later in the game. But the big change that we
Right.
did make to Baze was actually his command card.
Yeah, final stand. So you guys turned this. It's still 2 points, but you turned it into a Call to Vanguard.
No, that's not the right one. Into Dying Lunge.
I mean, yeah. Call to Vanguard, Dying Lunge. He's a ranged attacker, somewhere in the middle.
So it's
Dying
actually
Lunge.
it's more of a combination between Dying Lunge and Extra Protection, Onar's command card.
Yeah.
It's not a start of round, so you can't do it just whenever you want. Like it's not.
I just meant the move and attack aspect, but
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, right. So now it's and I don't think we've been reading these out. It says 2 points. Use when a friendly figure within 3 spaces has suffered damage equal to its health before it is defeated. So that can include Baze as well. It says move up to 2 spaces, gain 1 power token of any type, then perform an attack. Then that friendly figure is defeated. So it can either be Dying Lunge, where also you get spotted a power token.
Mm-hmm.
So you move 2 spaces and perform an attack, and then you're defeated. Or it can be kind of a version of extra protection, where when another friendly figure within 3 spaces is defeated, you get to move 2 spaces and perform an attack. But then that friendly figure is still defeated. So
So what was the reasoning behind this one?
the reasoning was, so the original one had a kind of a miracle worker effect tied to it if Baze had not activated yet, but it
Right.
also still
Okay.
gave him that free bonus attack or move. So for 2 points, what we were often seeing was this card was giving Baze an extra 3 attacks that he would not have otherwise gotten. So 3 attacks for 2 points is a little bit over the curve. I mean, a lot over the curve. That's what I think. That was really what was making him so powerful, is when he drew his command card. Um, I think what it should have been was either you get the free attack if you have activated already, or you get the miracle worker.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so hard to figure out how to template that to make it not super confusing. So instead, we just decided to get rid of the miracle worker aspect altogether and just kind of make it so no matter what, the card always gives you 1 extra attack.
Yeah. And you spawn with a power token.
Yeah, that was kind of a like, is this really worth 2 points if it's Dying Lunge, but it's only for 1 figure? I actually thought it was, because you're getting that extra flexibility of being able to use it on another figure dying, but the the little power token was just kind of another knob to turn to like get it up to the power level we want it to be at.
Well, there's that, but there's also, like, it's Dying Lunge, but with a ranged figure.
That's what I said too. It's Dying
Yeah.
Lunge with a ranged attack. That's a lot stronger than Dying Lunge.
Yeah.
Um,
But,
but it's nice.
yeah, it looks like an extra Dying Lunge for Mara. So,
And
I like
yes,
that.
it is another Dying Lunge for Mara Jade. Yep. So I like that too, though. That's also why I had to put in the that friendly figure is defeated.
Yep, yeah.
Otherwise, you could do You could do this and then do Dying Lunge.
Ah.
So we nicked that one. All right, let's go to the next one. We've got Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis. So, I think he upped his health from 13 to 14.
Yep.
Um, I don't remember if Force Slow ever had a range limit of 3 spaces,
Yeah, I did.
but that would be okay. So is it just the health?
Yep, we just upped his health from 13 to 14. He just felt a little squishy at 13. Somebody pointed out to me that in all my game logs with Cal, I'd been talking about him as if he had 14 health and playing him that
Yeah,
way.
you've definitely been doing that, and then you'd realize like halfway through a log that he had 1 less health, and you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
he's pretty squishy.
Yeah, he is squishy for 8 points, especially compared to like Kane and Jarrus, who was originally 8 points for 14 health and a defense bonus with the reroll. But
I mean, you compare him to the Grand Inquisitor, who's got 15 health and 7.
yep, and compared to
With
like
a-
Zeb, who's 8 points for 15 health.
Yeah.
So wanted to try.
So I agree with the 1 extra point.
Yeah. Not sure. I don't think 15 is warranted, because Force Slow is just really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 14 is warranted for him. I think he's been
Force Slow's like
struggling.
a sleeper ability, because now that I've seen it play out a few times, it looks awesome. But before, it was like, even theoretically being told what it could do, it's like, maybe that'll happen one day, sort of.
It's
But
good.
no, people are making it happen. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's a really good ability.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is Cal's Buddy. His command card.
So, yep, it's now a 1 point card.
Yes. So, I think it's been hard for people to fit this into the list, especially because it's kind of an oddball effect to get like a companion that's just healing you, and maybe
Yeah.
deleting a terminal. But
Terminal deletion, though.
this card should be good. I think this card was being underplayed at 2, but I understand why people were hesitant to make room, because there's so many cards you need to play in a Force User list and a Technician list.
Mm-hmm.
With Cal, you have to put in Knowledge and Defense and Dying Lunge and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this should make it easier to fit, and people will see how good it is to have a technician companion on the battlefield.
He could even play navigation.
Yep, he can
Just
do
throwing things out there.
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now people will have a chance to see, and then, a month from now, he'll be a problem, and we can bump him up to 2 again.
Yep, probably.
We'll see.
All right, and then the final for Rebels is another old card. Our third old card and last one is going to be Lando Calrissian. Is getting an update for Season 8. He's also getting a bit of a makeover. His art was a little bit plain and boring in the old version. I went ahead and added a nice little Cloud City background.
Nice. That's a nice art change.
But the main
But I think
change, I don't know if you noticed what
yeah.
the main change is.
Yeah. Shrewd Scoundrel only works with Resourceful now.
Yes. So this is the only old card that we're actually changing how it works. But I think for most people will agree that it's really not going to change how he works most of the time.
Yeah.
You pretty much always used Shrewd Scoundrel when you did the Resourceful reroll. We had originally left that restriction off of the card just to reduce the wordiness of the ability, but also to just give some flexibility in how you could use it and make it a little more fun. But that has now come back to bite us with double or nothing.
Yeah.
Which was a combo we didn't realize was a thing until people brought it up, and then we actually did some focus testing on it. Morgan and I played some games where we tested it out, and it really was too powerful. At first I thought, well, maybe Lando could use this little boost. He doesn't really need it, and it's just kind of an insane amount of damage you can deal by quadrupling a dice result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like 8 damage on a green die. That's insane.
And it's super consistent, which was the other problem. It's
Mm-hmm.
not hard to pull it off, because you also cheat to win to kind of rig the results. So
Cheat.
that's the one where you can change the dice to any face.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with that definitely.
So, all right. So let's go to Empire. So the one that everybody, I'm sure, has been waiting for is Vader's Finest.
Boo.
So there's quite a few changes.
Oh,
in this
you guys keep doing this one dirty. So now I think it gave 2 movement points before on the first attack move, and now it only gives 1 space, which, I see a reason for that. So now it's just like a little bump instead of an action and a half. And then the bottom one, you limited it, you made it Mern. It only works if they have 2 dice or less.
Yes. But we did not restrict it to non-unique figures.
Are there any unique troopers that have 2 or less die?
No. Interestingly, I thought maybe there were, but there are not. But that means you can still use it with Del Mico. You don't get
Why?
focus from it, but you get a special action that gives you an extra movement, which will pair with his expertise ability.
I mean, I would rather be able to focus snowtroopers or dewbacks.
Yeah, that's exactly why that says that. I mentioned in my article that we realized even if we limit it to non-uniques, we still have the problem that dewbacks and snowtroopers exist, and that's not really something we want. Is giving Empire 4.4 dice attackers. Interestingly, nobody's really been playtesting them with Science Finest or with Vader's Finest. I keep doing that. So we don't have a lot of data, but it's kind of just something we realize we don't really want Empire to have access to.
I wouldn't. Well, I mean, maybe it would have been good on a dewback because they get mounted and then perform an attack, and 8.0 moving 2 would have been nice
Yep.
after being focused in round 1. So that might have been worth it. I definitely did want to try out Snow Troopers with Vader's Finest. Now not so much.
Yeah.
But
So that's the point.
the fact that we've had to rein this in so many times makes me think maybe the old Vader's Finest has some untapped potential there with those Snow Troopers.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. If you won't focus on your snowtroopers and dewbacks, you take the old Vader's Finest.
Yep.
That's fine. We're fine with that. It's still good with scout troopers. It's still gonna honestly be good with jet troopers. Just not so crazy with their movement shenanigans.
Yeah, I can see why you had to move it down to 1, and also to make it a space because of the super commandos. You don't want free. I think it was jetpack rockets, but it only works on one of their abilities, so maybe it was the block tokens.
It was the rockets.
Yeah.
But
I can see focused attack, rocket, and also move 4 is a lot.
Yeah, we didn't even want to give them
jets.
a 50% discount on a jetpack rocket by giving them 1 movement point. But also, when you do one movement, you really want it to be move 1 space anyway, so that you can still move through like difficult terrain. So that's the other reason to do it that way. And then what did I write in the? There's one other thing. Oh yeah, the other reason to change it to move 1 space instead of move 2 spaces is it just created an annoying play pattern with the like sniper troopers, so like scout troopers, of you move 3 spaces, you attack, and then you move 3 spaces back to your hiding place. Like that kind of peekaboo gameplay is already annoying as it is when you can do it with 2 spaces. So by limiting this down, we've made it so that you have an odd number of movements, so you're not going to be able to get back to where you started from.
Unless you're only moving in 2. But I heard that a lot of the higher level strats are to move 3 into position, then shoot. So you can't move all the way back after that.
Yeah, you without the card, you can already move 2 and move 2 back. So we're not enabling that peekaboo strategy anymore.
It was fun while it lasted, guys.
You're still getting focused.
And originally, it didn't even last until 8.0 drops. I wanted to do this 3 times around.
Yeah, that was pretty broken. All right. Enough on that. Okay, next one is Delmico, who we already mentioned. So, despite the change to Vader's to Vader's Finest, I keep saying Zion's Finest. Vader's Finest. We're still changing Delmico. We did get comments from people that he seems like a really efficient figure already at 5 points, and the expertise can just kind of get out of hand with certain abilities. So, this one's people are on the fence, at least in the committee, about this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back to this. It was hard to get data on Delmico because of Vader's Finest, and because of Baze too. Like Baze was just crushing everybody, so we don't really know how all the other cards were performing because they're all losing to Baze. So, expertise. What do you probably see the change here?
Yeah. So, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, just for the listeners, expertise has been changed. So now instead of getting a full free action after you perform a special action, you gain 2 movement points.
Because I think a lot of the time you want to at least move a little bit on your turn, and well, first of all, it's like full circle. I think an episode or 2 ago you hinted at this. You said, "Oh, we're thinking about Delmico, and there's ways to not give full actions." I was like, he's going to give him half an action and movement points, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And I think, movement points, they're fine. They're good. You could use this with a lot of things. He's still got gifted mechanics, so he could still mechanic move 2 and attack, or mechanic and move 6. Definitely reins him in a bit, but like you said, he did a lot for 5, and he's got a lot of good traits. So I think this is a good change.
Yeah, his traits especially, like, he has access to strategic shift, grenadier, and set the charge. He's also got some other cards that are really good that are escaping my memory here. Um, Urgency, field tactician, and you often see him run with Iden. So he's good at playing field tactician when she can't. What's the other one? There's one more. Oh, his card. His command card is so good with the old
Mm-hmm.
expertise. Like I saw it getting played, and it's basically turns him into Emperor Palpatine, right? Because it's just a free action for him, and then he's giving an attack to another figure. But it's not just an attack; it could be their special action attack. So like Grand Inquisitor was using lightsaber throws off of this. Um,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you could be doing brutalities off of that. Like Palpatine eats your heart out. He can't do that.
Oh my gosh, brutalities.
Anything
Hmm.
that's an attack that comes from a special action, like you can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pushed hard for that. I just thought three actions for a 5 point figure that's a three dice attacker was kind of extreme, and I think I saw feedback from other people that were saying it's a lot, and it's so easy to trigger. It's much easier to trigger than you think it would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with the old Vader's Finest and the old Del Mico, you could what? Forgetting the focus, the top half of that, you would attack, gain 2 movement points, and then expertise gain an action, and you could move 4, attack, and then move 6 back.
Yeah, so effectively you could move five, right? No, wait, does that work? No, you'd move four. You'd have to move.
No,
You can only move
you would
four,
have to move 4 and attack.
and then yeah, move six, which is really
But
annoying to
even
deal
now,
with.
you yeah, like you said, even now you can still move 4, attack, and move 3 back. It's an odd number, but it's a lot closer to peekaboo than you guys are trying to let be enabled.
Yeah, so I mean,
You can still move 3, attack, move 3.
I think Vader's Finest is actually not terrible on Del Mico because you get to do that move three back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as powerful as it was because he doesn't get the focus, but gotta be fair.
Yeah. Although I would have preferred Vader's Finest to be the just not work on uniques because I think one, I did want to try that on the Snowtroopers, but two, and I can see why you don't want 4 die free attackers. But two, I think lore wise, Vader's Finest is like, yeah, these are Vader's best stormtroopers, not a buffed up version of these specific guys from the lore.
It's a troop rotation. You go to different battalions so you can get some more experience.
Yep. All right.
All right, next up
What are
we
we moving
got
on to next?
Second Sister.
Mm. Yeah, I saw Saber Orbit got limited to 3 figures.
Yes.
Which was she regularly getting more than 3?
It wasn't about whether she was regularly doing it. It's just about it was too much of a power spike when she did, um,
Hmm.
and it was too easy to do it twice in a row um, with
Okay.
activation or with initiative swing.
I was gonna say if you get got by this once, it's because you positioned poorly. But if she gets to do it, twice with initiative swing, I think you make a good point there to limit it
Yeah,
to 3.
it's the two in a row that is so killer, and
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes you don't realize you've set up a position where she can, because the force leap is so good. Like I always get got by her having force leap. I keep forgetting she has that. And then I mean I've not gotten got by this saber orbit. Although I did get got by but it was just two targets. But like if you just leave, you can leave an opening where you have four targets. That's already going to be really bad for you. Um, yeah, it's just the power spike was too high for a 5 point figure. Like we don't want 5 points to be doing that much value where they're like we saw in that game, that short, that won the game pretty much on the spot. And the second sister player even made some mistakes here and there where they didn't maximize the damage they were dealing with their surge abilities against Silo technique. They would have killed more stuff more efficiently there. They could have. Um,
Hmm.
and what was I saying? Um, So yeah, so you can only do three, and three was kind of the number where we were like, what number should she be happy with? Like, what number are you happy getting a saber orbit in a game? And three was kind of the number, and then we were like, okay, four's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
two's kind of a little too little.
yeah, two is too little. You're not getting enough value. You should just be doing her normal attack. I remember now. What I was gonna mention was that thing you said about if you create a situation or allow it to happen to you where second sister is able to do that to you, then it's on you. I have heard that argument before for Sabs. I have heard that argument many times for buffing Sabs, Rebel Sabs,
Mm-hmm.
and yet people do it all the time. Even the people that have argued me that like you shouldn't let Sabs blast you, have gotten blasted by Sabs. So it's just it happens, and it shouldn't be so punishing that you lose the game on the spot because you made one mistake.
True. True. Well, that's why I said when I think you deserve a decent amount of punishment if you let this happen. But I think two caveats to that is one, getting this off twice is too devastating with the initiative swing. Two, whereas with Sobs, that's kind of like how you build a list. It's not that devastating if you have Sobs and they're not running Kotun and Mern and everything to power them up. Uh, but with Second Sister, she kind of does that by herself. The rest of the list could be Force users, they could be hunters, they could be technicians, they could be anything else. But like you're mispositioning for one 5-point figure, and that shouldn't cost you the whole game.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
At least with Sobs, that's like your whole list when that kind of happens.
Also, she has dark energy, so she can actually set it up
Oh, she can
even more.
enforce it.
Yeah, she can force
Yeah.
the issue more than Sabs can. So
Yeah, true.
it's a little bit too efficient for being able to do all that. So I think, I wasn't sure if this was even needed, but even now, just talking about it, like all the ideas that I've had are coming together and being like, yeah, I think this was a needed change for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I can start to
but
see that.
she didn't only get nerfed; she actually got a buff to her command card, Force Strain.
Yeah. Let me see. This was one. Wasn't it 2 points before?
No, it was 1 point before.
Oh, okay. Okay. Within. Oh, is it extended range?
That's one of the changes.
And it does one extra damage now?
Yep. Yep. So Force Strain. Now it says choose a hostile figure within 2 spaces, and that figure suffers 3 damage, and then still becomes stunned and weakened, and you recover 3 damage if you target a force user with it.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's good. That's a good card.
Yep. I think
The card
the
might be too
feedback,
good.
huh?
That card might be too good.
Maybe we'll see. It's actually been doing pretty well at finishing off figures for Second Sister, but it requires a lot of setup, and I think people are avoiding putting it in their deck because the original one that could only target adjacent hostile figures, it was too close to being an attack. So it was often like, why would I do this instead of just attacking and dealing like 3 to 5 damage? So
Yeah.
now it kind of
Well,
extends her
it does
reach.
stun and weaken, which is can be kind of devastating.
Yeah, I've mostly seen people use it to deal the last 2 points of damage to things. So,
Mm.
and I think that's what people have commented too, is like, I don't really care about the stun and weaken because I'm only going to use this if it's going to kill the thing I'm targeting. Which is just how damage effects like that work. You don't want to just deal damage to things randomly without killing them because then you don't know if you're wasting that damage. But that's kind of the idea of the stun and weakened, is like trying to encourage that more different playstyle of like, go ahead and use this on that full health Vader because you'll actually get some value out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah we'll watch this one. I think maybe the amount of damage it deals is probably the knob to tweak on this one. But I think being able to reach a hostile figure within 2 spaces, so kind of effectively giving her reach for one action, is was a good change.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think that the range helps uh, for all those situations where you're one short and you want to get off some damage. If anything, that damage knob looks like you could tweak it again
Yeah,
if
but
needed.
I also like that the damage matches the damage that you recover from it too.
Mm-hmm.
I just that was kind of weird to me at first. So it was like you deal 2 damage, but you recover 3 damage.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
well, I mean the whole recovery is kind of situational. That's only going to work in a few matchups, some matchups, not a few.
yeah. All right, and finally we are getting into Scum. So we're going to be talking about Gar Saxon here. This will be a fun one. Let's see if you can name the changes on this one.
Well, he gained a health. His flamethrower got renamed to Gar Saxon's flamethrower, and it now discards a power token instead of weakening.
Yep. Although it didn't weaken before.
Oh, he lost his surge for +2. It's a +1.
Yes.
And he gets +1 damage. Okay. Well, that's a number of changes.
Yeah. There's one more.
There's one. Well, this is, hold on. 4 space. Whenever you spend a block token while defending, apply +1 to the defense results.
That's the same.
Yeah. On adjacent that space, discards power token. Yeah, I don't think I know. Did his accuracy surge get debuffed?
Yes, he didn't have an accuracy surge. He had +2 accuracy. So that is now a surge ability.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's list all the changes for
This
Gar
is a
Saxon.
number of changes, yeah.
So Gar Saxon, so his health went from 8 to 9, like you mentioned. He now has an innate +1 damage, but his surge for +2 damage has gone down to surge for +1 damage. His innate +2 accuracy is now a surge for +2 accuracy, and his flamethrower ability has been renamed, like you said, and now it also discards 1 power token from each target in addition to dealing 1 damage and 1 strain. It did not used to weaken; it just was 1 damage, 1 strain originally.
Oh, so now it's stronger. Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
So he's pretty much been buffed across the board except for the surge for +2 and the +2 accuracy.
I mean, the surge for +2 is still technically kind of a buff because he got half of that. He gets half of that up front, even if he can't surge.
It's
it
a buff
debuffs
to
Airborne
himself.
Commander.
Yeah.
Debuffs Airborne Commander. And then the accuracy. Did he have too much, or are you trying to like make up for the extra health by encouraging him to get closer to the fray?
Yes, is the answer to that question. He was his attack was already really good without the +1 damage added. So this is a way to kind of temper that with saying, okay, you need to get closer now if you want to have guaranteed accuracy, like really close, within 2 to 3 spaces, or you're probably gonna have to give up some damage if you want to get your attack to hit. And then the other benefit is that there are some mobile figures that really want that surge for accuracy that don't have it, and so this is a nod to those. So those would be probe droids and Sabine. I think most of the other mobile figures already have a good accuracy surge.
Not the Nexu.
Yeah, Nexu really wants that. The Nexu is the one that gains the least from Airborne Commander, I think, because he's so unlikely to roll surges. Although he does gain the most from if he can get personal combat shield. He's really good with that. But that's another one. So yeah, Gar Saxon. He's been doing well. It's just some of those issues with the health being too low is the feedback we keep getting. And then the other one was the flamethrower was an issue because number one, it had the same name as Boba's flamethrower, but it didn't do the same thing, and it also was confusing with his command card.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other problem was nobody was using his flamethrower. It wasn't good enough to give up an attack, and it was just so unlikely because he was a mobile figure that you needed to keep safe to buff the rest of your list. Like, he was never just standing in the middle of the fight spamming attacks and flamethrowers without moving away. So this is a attempt to entice players a little more to try and use it. If you can get it off and discard like 3 or 4 power tokens with it, I think it would be quite tempting to use it instead of an attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think those situations will come up often, but I think that it will come up enough that you will find yourself having to actually make a choice instead of the current choice is, why would I ever use flamethrower? I'm just going to shoot somebody instead.
You're gonna have to make choices. You're gonna have to choose.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about that's like game design in a nutshell, is you want to give people meaningful choices.
Yeah. Choose a strategy. Like you have to choose a side.
Oh, okay, I get what you're doing. Wow. So let's choose a side. This is our final card. We got through these pretty quick.
Yeah.
So this is Gar Saxon's command card. So can you tell what has changed?
Well, it costs 1 point now, and
Yes.
it reflects Gar Saxon's changed flamethrower name.
Yes. So this was a 3 point card originally, now 1 point. It's used during your activation. During this round, friendly mobile figures gain one of the following abilities based on your army affiliation. And if you're Scum, you gain his personal combat shield ability. And if you are an Empire list, then all mobile figures will gain his Gar Saxon's flamethrower ability. This is part of why we went for the discarding power tokens. Also, we were trying to. So when we had to rename the ability, we were like, okay, well let's give it something cool to make it unique, right? Like, Din's flamethrower lets him move 2 spaces before he does it. Boba's flamethrower lets him spend 2 movement points to use it. So we were trying to come up with something that would make his Gar Saxon's flamethrower unique. And we had to keep choose a side in mind because we didn't want it to be something that scaled, scaled well with spamming the flamethrower. So something that has diminishing returns. Okay, discarding power token. If you spam it with this card, your opponent's going to run out of power tokens pretty quickly.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then that's a lot of damage across the board.
Yeah, but that was the other thing too, is the feedback we got, and I actually did a lot of focus testing trying to get choose a side to work, because I couldn't get it to go off in pre-release playtesting, but we still thought that it was dangerous enough that it needed to be 3 points. And then I finally got it to go off in a game, and it was just like, I'd still rather just be attacking with these mobile figures than using the flamethrower, which is, problematic in itself. It's like, why do I put this card in my deck?
Yeah.
But it was also like, that's another reason we need to kind of buff this flamethrower ability and make it a little more palatable to using instead of an attack.
Right. Right, but do you think going from 3 to 1 was, what's the word, appropriate? Or do you think 2 might be the sweet spot? Because now it can be Afrid.
Yes, it can be Afrid. But yeah, I actually think it is appropriate. I mean, I thought a lot about it, and we've talked a lot about it. The rest of the steering committee is a little bit more hesitant, I think, on this one, going down to 1, for the reason you just gave, because you can Afra it. Also because you can stack it with fuel upgrade. But my reasoning was, and I think a few people in the community also kind of pointed this out, is number one, this card is a weaker version of fuel upgrade. It's just straight up weaker across the board in that, specifically for Scum, right? You're getting a defense bonus, but only when you can spend a power token to fuel it, versus fuel upgrade, which is just always on for the whole round. And also the timing restriction is difficult because you have to activate Gar first if you want to get the full value out of this. Because it's not a start of round; it's during Gar's activation.
Right.
So it's weaker than fuel upgrade because you're also not getting the speed boost. So I felt like 2 points for this, the way it's worded now, would not feel appropriate. And then for the flamethrower side, you still have the action cost on the flamethrower. So that is
Yeah.
an additional cost per unit per use, which adds up. So you might
Yeah.
honestly, you're probably gonna you'd be very lucky if you got two flamethrowers and didn't only gave up one attack to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's true.
and yeah, that doesn't feel like 2 points of value to me.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a card that kind of looks like it's a game changer, but it in practice it seems like it's too hard to. In practice, personal combat shield might be the more scary version of half of this card.
Yeah, I think so actually, especially if you can get it if you use him with like a Nexu, as I mentioned,
Mm.
because then you're getting the cunning, you're getting the combo of the shield and the cunning together. Um, and then obviously with Boba, you're getting the bonus if you've got some block tokens on Boba Fett. He's pretty much invincible for a round, at least for two attacks, right? Because you're gonna run out of
Right.
power tokens. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like you said, this card looks dangerous on paper, but it looks way more dangerous than it actually plays out. And I think a lot of people noticed that when they tried to use it. So I think it's correct at one point. Obviously, we'll see if it's broken. Hopefully, people try this out with Afra and Gar and whatever they can get to use the flamethrower.
So, I just came up with a role question for this card.
Mm.
So we talked about just business earlier and how you guys kind of changed it so that you don't have to ask the question, what if someone gets professional twice? But this card gives Gar Saxon, let's say, a second copy of Gar Saxon's flamethrower.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were supposed to change this to other, so I guess that's another typo.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So yeah,
there
it
you
should be
go.
other friendly mobile figures. So I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
change
that
that one
makes
before we
sense.
update it. I
Okay.
remember that came
Cool.
up in our discussion.
Yeah. Good. Good.
All right.
Good
Well, that
stuff.
is it.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
So, for all you guys listening, the article explains each of the changes. So that'll be going up on the 29th on Sunday, or no, the 28th on Sunday. So it should be up if you're listening to this. So you can go to ia-continuityproject.com to check that out.
Yeah. And then we'll see you guys for some 8.1 games.
Yes, looking forward to it. Thanks, and thank you to everybody who has been really on the ball on submitting game logs. I've been seeing a lot more coming in with more regularity, and it's made it a lot easier to track game results, but also to let me, so I can actually look at games on my time that I'm free and report back to the committee on like what's going on and what people are doing in their games.
And your community challenge is to make a rebel list without Baze Malbus.
Well, we want people to keep playing him because we want to get
Yeah,
testing
true.
results. So don't
True.
stop playing Baze if you like Baze. Just make sure you test his 8.1 version and let us know if it's still good or not.
Yep. True. True. But I would also say I wouldn't worry too much about the win rate on Baze yet. I don't know how big your sample size is, but I know I've played 2 Season 8 games, and I played Baze twice, and I was playing against people that were newer to the game than I was both times. So that's a little bit of contribution to that win rate.
And currently we have a sample size of 23 Baze games that weren't mirror matches.
Mm.
So pretty decent actually. for our standards.
Yeah, that's a lot.
All right. Well, let's cut it off here. Thank you everybody for listening. And Wesley, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I do still make videos on my YouTube channel, even if I don't stream all the times I say I'm going to. Typically, it's more reliable if you check the channel and you see there is like a thumbnail and like a queued up, like, yeah, this is going to happen at this time. That's when I've committed to doing it for that time. But I think also want to shout out your own shorts. Those have been really cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I hope people are enjoying those. I've got another game from the May 6th tournament going up. It's going to be myself against Tim. That was played IRL. Took me a long time to edit, a longer time to render. But that'll be fun for folks that want to check out a FFG meta game.
Nice.
All
Yeah,
right,
I've got
thanks
some
everybody for
catching up to
listening.
do for your channel.
Huh? Oh yeah, there's a lot of content going out.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Stay frosty.